After 5 years of marriage, my husband returned from a 6-month business trip with his first love. And, to my shock, Mariana was already more than 3 months pregnant. Kyo said her life was difficult and wanted her to stay at our house temporarily. I refused. And Kyo told me not to be ungrateful. His tone was full of disdain. As if he'd forgotten that this mansion was my property. His whole family had been living off my resources. This time, I decided to cancel all their living support. I smiled and called my assistant. Dropped the divorce papers immediately. A man who married into wealth dares to bring his mistress into our home so openly. I had been eagerly awaiting Kyo's return from his 6-month business trip. Early in the morning, I arranged all the little souvenirs I'd collected for him from various places over the past half-year. I also asked Mrs. Wilson, our housekeeper, to prepare a table full of his favorite dishes. At that moment, the front door opened, and Kyo appeared. With his arm around his ex-girlfriend. I was stunned. Mariana walked toward me with a smile, gently caressing her slightly swollen belly as she greeted me. "Sarah, long time no see." As I stared at her visibly pregnant belly, anger surged within me. Mariana seemed to notice my change in expression. And quickly came to my side, clutching my wrist as she said sweetly, "Sarah, please don't be upset. This is all my fault. If you want to blame someone, blame me. Please don't hurt Kyo." Mariana's simple words hit me like a thunderbolt. I hadn't said anything yet, but she had already revealed everything. Kyo had been watching my reaction the whole time. Ready to jump in and protect Mariana at any moment. I clenched my fists and glared at Kyo, asking, "Aren't you going to explain?" After I spoke, he sighed. And gently said to Mariana, "Let me take you to choose a room first." "I'll handle this." Kyo's gentle tone stunned me. In our 5 years of marriage, he had never spoken to me like that. Under my watchful gaze, he supported Mariana as they went upstairs. The driver brought in 3 large suitcases. It seemed Mariana had moved half her home here. Though she looked healthier than I did, Kyo protected her as if she were a delicate doll. I collapsed onto the sofa, waiting for Kyo to settle Mariana and give me an explanation. As I listened to the irritating laughter from upstairs, I was about to rush up. When the doorbell rang, Kyo's parents stormed in with gloomy faces, seemingly not noticing me as they quickly rushed upstairs. I followed them up, and heard Kyo pulling his parents aside, saying sincerely, "I didn't mean to hide this from you. Mariana's pregnancy was unstable in the early stages, and I was afraid something might go wrong. I hope you can understand. Mariana and I love each other, and the baby she's carrying is your grandchild, after all. Please don't blame her." I thought about the 5 years of our marriage. Whenever I had disagreements with his mother, Kyo would always say that his mother was old. And that I should be more patient with her. He had never stood up for me. I always thought that was just his personality. It wasn't until today, seeing him protect Mariana at every turn, that I realized I had been a fool all along. Mariana chimed in, holding Kyo's mother's hand. "I didn't intentionally try to ruin Kyo's marriage. We truly love each other. I hope you can understand, Aunt and Uncle." Kyo's mother's frown gradually relaxed. As she glanced at me standing in the doorway, I knew she was hesitating. For the past 5 years, I had been transferring living expenses to her every month. Anyone could see that Mariana's financial situation couldn't compare to mine. My heart sank. Kyo, as my husband, not only failed to give me a heads up about the situation, but also publicly humiliated me. Did he really think I had no pride, no self-respect? Seeing the silence in the room, Mariana's eyes suddenly reddened, and she began to sob. "The child in my womb is innocent. No matter what, I will give birth to him. You can scold me all you want, but I hope my child won't be harmed." Large teardrops rolled down her cheeks, making her look pitiful to anyone who saw her. Kyo wiped away the tears from the corners of her eyes with a pained expression. His voice filled with resentment. "Mom, answer her quickly. You know pregnant women need stable emotions. After our wedding, Hyo's parents had immediately started pressuring us to have a child. For 5 years, my belly had shown no signs of pregnancy. And I knew Hyo's parents had said many unkind things behind my back. Considering the family lineage, Hyo's father, who had been silent until now, spoke up. After all, Mariana is carrying our family's descendant. Everyone should try to control their tempers for the next few months. As soon as he finished speaking, all eyes turned to me. They looked like a united front. And for a moment, I felt like the outsider. I couldn't help but let out a cold laugh. Doesn't anyone want to ask my opinion? Seeing my displeasure, Hyo angrily stepped in front of Mariana and questioned me. Sarah, are you deaf? We've told you everything to your face. What more do you want to know? I couldn't help but laugh coldly. My husband had been on a business trip for 6 months and came back with such a big surprise for me. Not only did he offer no explanation face to face, but he also had the audacity to take this commanding tone with me. Seeing that I remained silent, Mariana started crying again, tugging at Hyo's wrist as she sobbed, if Sarah is really angry, maybe I should leave. Hyo's mother was displeased when she heard this, and immediately responded, you're carrying our family's grandchild. How could we let you leave? After saying this, Hyo glared at me and said, say something. Look how scared you've made Mariana. She's carrying my child, after all. If you have any objections, take them out on me privately. I won't allow you to hurt her. Mariana then urgently tugged at Hyo's wrist and said, Hyo, please. I think this is going too far. Maybe I should leave. I don't want to cause problems between you and Sarah. She looked at me as if she were about to burst into tears. With watery eyes, like a soap opera actress in her big moment of suffering. All I could feel was a mix of disgust and rage. Hyo, as always, was quick to console her, wrapping her in a protective embrace, and murmuring words I couldn't hear but that clearly reassured her. For a moment, I stood still, watching this pathetic scene unfold in my own house, where they dared to challenge and humiliate me openly. But a cold, almost calculating feeling took hold of me. I had nothing more to say. Inside me, however, a clear decision had formed. This would be the last day that Hyo and his beloved Mariana would step foot in my home without my permission. I had endured too much. And watching him defend her, willing to treat me as an obstacle, as a stranger, was the final blow. I turned on my heel, determined, and went to my office. I picked up the phone and called my lawyer. I needed to act quickly before the charade of Mariana and Hyo became even more unbearable. I quickly explained what was happening, the humiliations I had endured. And he reassured me immediately. Everything was in my name, the house, the accounts, the assets. I already knew that, but hearing it from someone trustworthy gave me renewed confidence. As I spoke with him, I heard footsteps behind me. Hyo had come downstairs, probably puzzled by my sudden disappearance. Not bothering to hide the disdain in his voice, he asked, "What are you doing, Sarah? Are you going to run away from the conversation again?" I looked at him with a calmness that I believe surprised him. I ended the call and put the phone in my pocket. I stood up slowly, taking a deep breath, while he continued to look at me with that air of superiority, as if he had won some kind of battle. "Hyo," I began, my voice firm. "You accused me of running. But honestly, the only one running here is you. You ran from our marriage, from any respect we once had for each other. And now you have the audacity to bring a pregnant woman into my house. As if I'm just an observer in your life." He laughed with disdain. "Sarah, do you really think you can intimidate me with those words? Mariana and I have history. What do we have? Money? Security? Do you think just because you've paid the bills all these years, you can control me?" He seemed convinced he was in control, that his stance made him the master of the situation. But I knew it was all a facade. Hyo kept talking, but I stopped listening. I walked to the door and opened it with a determined gesture, indicating he should leave. "This isn't an invitation, Hyo, it's a warning. Take Mariana, her bags, and leave now." I'll send you the divorce papers as soon as possible. And let your family know as well, they won't see another cent from me." His expression shifted from superiority to surprise. And finally to panic. He hesitated, trying to regain control of the situation. "Sarah, you're overreacting. You wouldn't do something like this. You wouldn't be that low." I smiled, a smile he had never seen before. "Oh, Kyo, you have no idea what I'm capable of. All these years, I stood by your side. Enduring every comment from your mother, every thinly veiled humiliation. But I held on to hope that one day you'd see the value in what we built together. Now it's clear you never respected me." He tried to argue, but was interrupted when Mariana came down the stairs. Clearly uncomfortable with the situation. She realized something had changed. That I was no longer the submissive wife ready to forgive everything. She placed a protective hand on her belly. As if I were a threat to the baby. "Kyo, I think it's best if we leave," she said, with a false sweetness, trying to calm the situation. "Yes, I think that's best," I replied, looking her directly in the eyes. Making it clear that I was no longer fooled by her act. "You have until the end of the day to leave. Consider this my last gesture of kindness." Kyo looked at me with hatred. But I remained firm. They left the room. And I stayed where I was, watching as he gathered their bags and helped Mariana. Pride wounded, and without another word to me. The house, which had been the setting for so many memories, good and bad, was finally free of that weight, that falseness. When the door closed, I felt a wave of relief. And at the same time, sadness. But it wasn't for Kyo. It was for the time and energy I had devoted to someone who never truly saw me. I called my lawyer again, informing him of Kyo's departure and to proceed with the divorce. That night, I sat alone at the dining table. But in peace. As I ate, I thought about the future. And all I still had to rebuild for myself. I decided in that moment that I would never again allow anyone to treat me the way Kyo had. And that I would always stand firm, no matter the relationship. After that night, when Kyo and Mariana finally left my house, an unexpected calm washed over me. For the first time in years, I felt fully in control of my life. My decisions, and above all, how I would respond to everything they had put me through. But that feeling alone wasn't enough. I knew they had escaped the situation too easily, with no real sense of the weight of their choices. It was an open wound, and I couldn't let it go unanswered. In the days that followed, I stayed in constant contact with my lawyer to expedite the divorce process. The house, bank accounts, and Kyo's assets were all intertwined with mine. In such a way that with a single signature, he would lose almost everything. For years, he had grown accustomed to the luxury. The trips, the meals prepared by renowned chefs. A life he only had because he was with me. Now that privilege was about to disappear. And I would make sure he felt it deeply. The first news I received was that he was desperate, trying to find a place to live with Mariana. They had moved into a small apartment in the suburbs. A very different area than Kyo was used to. Mariana, of course, was not at all pleased with their new reality. She had come to destroy my marriage, thinking she would take my place. But all she achieved was sharing the rent for a modest space with a ruined man. Kyo was also having issues at work. With the divorce, I decided to end all associations and contacts he had gained through me. I informed everyone in our business network about the separation, and made it clear he no longer represented my company in any way. The impact was immediate. Kyo lost access to the connections, clients, and influential network I had built with great effort. Now he was just another face in the crowd. For me, these steps were necessary but not enough. I wanted Kyo and Mariana to feel the real weight of the choices they had made. So I decided to act more directly. I hired a private investigator to document their life in that apartment. It wasn't long before I received a full report. Mariana and Kyo were constantly fighting. She was frustrated with her new life, complaining about the lack of money, the conditions of their place, and most of all, how he couldn't support her in the lifestyle she believed she deserved. The photos the investigators sent me were living proof that their dream was crumbling. But the final piece of my revenge was yet to come. Through my remaining contacts in the industry, I managed to get a job offer to reach Mariana. It was an assistant position in a small company. The type of job that, for someone like her, felt almost humiliating. It was exactly what I wanted. Mariana, hopeful, accepted the job, thinking that eventually she could climb the ranks and regain the lifestyle she longed for. Kyo, with no options, also had to accept a job below what he was used to. He started working at a mid-size company, but his reputation was already tarnished. People saw him as someone who had married for money and was now broke, struggling to keep up appearances. One day, I decided to confront them personally, but in a roundabout way. I knew where they usually had lunch, a small restaurant near Mariana's office. So I walked in unexpectedly, knowing they would be there. The stares around me were inevitable. I approached their table with a smile on my face, noticing the discomfort in their expressions. Kyo, Mariana, I greeted them as if we were old friends. And nothing had happened between us. They stayed silent, visibly uncomfortable. Sarah, we don't need to do this here, Kyo muttered, visibly embarrassed. Ignoring his comment, I continued. I just wanted to see how you're doing. I heard life has changed quite a bit these past few months. I made sure to look them up and down, noting their simple clothes and worn-out appearance. Mariana tried to maintain her composure, but it was clear my presence disturbed her deeply. She replied, trying to keep her dignity. We're fine, Sarah. In the end, I guess everyone got what they wanted here. I let out a soft laugh. Oh, of course. At least I'm living in peace. I just wanted to wish you both happiness. Enjoy every moment of this new life you've built together. I smiled, a look of pure irony, and turned on my heel, leaving them with their plates and their mediocre life. At that moment, I felt truly free. They were trapped in a life of their own making, and there was nothing more I needed to do to worsen their situation. Kyo had traded the security and comfort he had with me for an illusion. And Mariana, who thought she would take my place, was now stuck in a reality with no luxury, no stability, and none of the respect she thought she deserved. I returned home with a sense of satisfaction I hadn't felt in a long time. Every detail of this revenge was planned, so they would face the consequences of their actions on their own. I didn't have to lift a finger directly against them. I simply let life take its course, while I, on the other hand, rebuilt my peace and freedom. In the months that followed, I began investing in myself. I took up old hobbies, traveled to places I had always wanted to visit, and started exploring new business opportunities. The life I built was finally free of any shadows from the past. And as for Kyo and Mariana, I heard that their relationship didn't last long. Mariana, dissatisfied and frustrated, eventually left Kyo, leaving him exactly as he had started, with nothing and no one. When I heard about their end, I simply smiled to myself. They had sown their own seeds, and now they were reaping the fruits of their decisions. As for me, I finally felt like I had closed that chapter of my life.